Okay, so we will get started. So welcome everybody to our scorekeeper training for this evening for South Dakota Amateur Hockey Association. We're going to quickly just go through just basically just the scoring of a game, and then just a couple of little things too. And then Jenny's probably going to chime in a little bit as well. And I'm sure there'll be a few questions as we move along. So feel free to ask as we go along. And I said this last night as well. There's no such thing as a silly question. So just go on and ask it, and we will help you to make sure everyone's ready to go to be able to score games. Okay. So everyone can see my iPad. This is the scoring key that we are going to be using. So everyone is going to be using this scoring key that you see currently up on the screen. So this will be for all of the games that you will be scoring in your league. So you can't score in anyone else's league and they can't score in yours. This is just strictly just for your league season. This is the key that you will be using. Okay. So it is case sensitive. So if you do put a capital in there, it will tell you it's incorrect. So everything does have to be in lowercase letters. Okay. So we type in the iPad dash SDAHA dash JWKW. Okay. And once we put that in, we will now be into the active screen of the iPad. And for everyone that's going to be scoring, all of these games are already in the schedule. Okay, so everything's all done. So what we have to do to get at that game to be able to score it is we just hit the plus new game button right in the middle of the screen, and we have two options. Like I said, everything is already scheduled already, so we are going to be using the load from schedule option. Okay, so we hit load from schedule, and it's going to automatically look at today's date. So today is the 21st. So if we were, tomorrow, if we were on the 22nd, obviously, it would show all of our games that are listed on the 22nd. Okay, same thing for the 23rd. So if we went and we were to actually just go to the 22nd, you'll see that we do have a bunch of games for tomorrow night. Same thing with the 23rd. You'll see that there is a whole bunch of games, but for tonight, we're just focusing in on the 21st, and we just have one game here that I've gone and created just so we can test this out on. Okay. So to get at this game, we are going to hit that load game button. Okay. So we hit load game. And now we want to score this game. Okay. So if we hit score, now we can score. Let's just say, though, that we've made a mistake. Okay. And then we had a whole bunch of games all there, and we clicked on the wrong game. We've actually loaded the wrong game, wrong teams. Whoops, I made a mistake. No problem at all. Just where it says the games button in the top left-hand corner with the arrow, just hit that. It's going to take you back to the active screen. Okay. You can delete this game. So just swipe from right to left, hit delete, and it's going to ask you, do you want to delete this game? It's not going to permanently erase everything. It's just going to take it off of your iPad. The game is still going to exist in the schedule. Somebody else will still be able to load this game. Okay. So if we made a mistake, it is all has to be typed in capital letters, type delete, and then hit delete, and it will delete the game from your iPad. Okay. So then just to show you that I have deleted that game from this iPad. However, if I go into the schedule, you'll see that the game is still there. Okay. So if you do add one by accident, you can delete it. Okay. So we have the correct game now. Let's say that we had loaded up the wrong one. We have the correct one. Now we are going to go to the scoring page, to the scoring details page. So this is all done, all in the background. Everything is in here. All of the date, the time, the location, the game number, everything is all done here. If we look at some details we have here, we do have our period lengths. In this case, for the youth JV division, these are set up with 17-minute periods and a 10-minute overtime. Jenny, is there a flood between the second and the third period, or first and second?
Second and third.
Third. So in this case, we would indicate that there is a flood between the second and third just by toggling that on. So right now, if it's off, this way it's on now. Okay, so there is a flood between second and third. That cannot be done in the background on Jenny's side on the scoring stuff. We do have to indicate this on the iPad at game time. Okay. The only thing that is required on this page, well, there's a few things that one is definitely required, and I know Jenny, you've got a requirement. So one thing that is definitely required on here is one that's written in red is required, and that's the start time. Okay, so the start time in this case for this game, it's going to start at 8:30 is the scheduled time of this game. And you'll see right now that it is pulling the time off of my iPad, which is 8:41. Okay. We can just keep that as the time, or we can just go to 30 as our actual start time of this game. Okay. The other thing that is not a requirement, but it is a requirement, is you need to put in your. Okay, so we want to put in our name in the official scorekeeper. So in this case, we got to make sure we put our name. Jenny, are we also putting our phone number in there too?
Yes. So this would be in case that something is incorrect that I have a question on that I'd be able to call the scorekeeper to get clarification.
Okay, so we would put our name in there and we would put our phone number. Okay. If there are two of us in the box, we can simply put Kurt and we'll just, Jenny, we're going to use your name. You and I are going to score this game tonight. Okay. We can put Kurt and Jenny on there as the scorekeepers. Okay. And then our phone number. And then now the game details page has been set as far as what we need to get going to be able to move on to the next stage of what needs to be done. Okay. This iPad does have to go. Jenny, we are giving this to the coaches before the game, or are we doing it while we're in the timekeeper's box out on the ice? We're doing it
Prior,
before the game?
yeah,
Prior?
prior,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So prior to the game, the coach or manager of each team is going to review their lineup. Okay, so they're going to go and they're going to go through and they're going to look at their players. As you can see, I've just gone and I've just created a whole. I wasn't going to give everyone a unique name. I just gave basically just to show you what this will kind of look like with everyone's name in here, with jersey numbers and everything. The coach is going to go through and look at all of this, all of their players. If they have anyone that maybe isn't playing, maybe that the person is sick. So let's just say that the Waterloo player 8, who's wearing jersey number 8, is not playing that day. They're sick. Okay, we can mark them then as not playing. Okay, so in that case, that player is not playing. Um, we do have a goaltender in this situation who has been already specified as a starting goaltender because we only have one. The coaches then, head coach, assistant coach, and the trainer then do have to sign their name. It's just with their finger. There's no magic pen or anything like that. This is just an iPad just by putting our signature in here. So the trainer has signed and also the head coach has signed. The next step for them, though, as the coach, and Jenny and I, we discussed this last night, is we want to leave a audio note for our Frozen 10. That's the right word, right, Jenny's Frozen 10? Yeah, we call it Frozen 10, right? Sorry, you're on mute, Jenny.
Yes, the reason we're doing a JV game as a sample is because the Frozen 10 is only used at the JV. So for any JV coaches, you would want to make sure to collect their Frozen 10 from them prior to the game when they're signing the
Okay. So what this coach is going to do in this case for the youth JV is now this coach is going to quickly go to the scoring page. So right below the home lineup, it says scoring. This coach is going to click on scoring. And then at the top there, next to the back button, there it says scorekeeper notes. This coach is going to hit the scorekeeper notes and they're going to leave a general note. So they're going to leave a general note here. And what they're going to do is they're going to leave an audio note. They're going to leave the audio note by simply hitting the tap to record. And then they are going to specify who their Frozen 10 players are. So they're going to just leave a quick note by saying, hey, Jenny, here are my Frozen 10 for this game. John Smith, Steve Martin, whoever. They're going to list all of their players that are their Frozen 10. Once they've stopped all of them, they left that audio note, they hit the stop button. They hit. Now, in this case, this coach for this visiting team has specified who his Frozen 10 are for this game. Okay. Click on the scorekeeper notes again. Closes off for them. We would then hit the back button. Now we want to go to the home lineup. Home lineup, this coach is going to do the exact same thing as what the visiting coach just did. He's going to go through, he's going to look to make sure all of his players are here, and he's missing a couple players tonight. One of them is injured and one of them is just not playing. Okay. Coach does the same thing, hands it to his assistant coach. He puts his signature. The trainer does the exact same thing. Head coach does the exact same thing. And then now the head coach for this team is going to want to go back to that scoring page, hit the plus scorekeeper's notes up at the top left. And then he is going to also leave a general note and hit the tap and record. And now he is going to leave an audio note for who his frozen 10 are. So I'm just going to quickly just let it go for about 10 seconds while I talk here. I've specified who my frozen 10 are. Now I hit the stop button. Then I hit add. And then as you can see, we have 2 audio notes that are being left here. It doesn't say what the 2 audio notes are, but we know now, because we're discussing this as a group, that these 2 audio notes are for who the frozen 10 players are for in this game for the youth JV. Okay. Now we can hit the back button again. Everything is good between the 2 lineups. If we see any type of an error on any of these lineups, what we can do is we can just simply click where the error is. We do have an error. I have generated an error, but I just don't want to show it quite yet. It generated the error because I jumped into the scoring page and then came back to the lineup page. But I'll show you what happens when we generate an error. We're not going to be able to lock and upload this game, but I'll show you when we get to trying to close off a game. Because if we have errors, we cannot excuse me, we cannot lock and upload the game. Okay. We do have a couple of questions in here. Start time being scheduled time or actual puck drop. So that can be the actual puck drop. You can just simply just put, if the start time is 8:30, you can just put 8:30 as the start time. It's not a huge deal. If you want to put the actual time that the puck dropped, you can do that as well. Jenny, I think, what did you put in here? Scheduled time is the puck. You can do either. It's within a couple of minutes, right? So it's not, yeah. So I see you're in here too, Jenny, answering these questions. So I'm going to stay out of that. I'll let you answer those. Okay. Okay. So now we want to jump to the scoring page, which as scorekeepers, we would spend, most of our time in this game. So just a quick rundown, just going through it. We've already kind of gone through the scorekeeper notes, but I could quickly show you notes that we can leave. So we can leave a timeout note if we have. So if a team calls a timeout, we can leave a timeout note. If there's an injury note, we can leave the injury note, or just a general note as well. We can leave that. So let's just say, in this case for a timekeeper, we don't have to leave audio notes. We can leave text notes as well. The audio notes, Jenny and I discussed it last night. The audio notes we would like to be left for the frozen 10. It doesn't mean you can't leave an audio note for whatever you want to leave in for your notes, but you can just simply leave a note just by typing anything in here. We're just going to write test as our general note, and you'll see that we've just left a note there just called test. If we want to delete that note, we can just swipe from right to left, and then we can hit delete. It's just going to ask you, do you want to delete the note? And yes, we can. And that goes for anything else that we do, just like how back when we deleted this game at the start, anything we ever want to delete. So if that's a goal or a penalty, just swipe from right to left and we can delete it. Okay. And I can show you that when we add a goal. Okay. So let's start, since we just started talking about it, let's add a goal. So if we hit add goal, we are, in this case, what all these numbers are, this is what the time is up on the clock right now. So let's say there's 4 minutes and 30 seconds left in this first period. That's what we're going to put on there. The referee comes over and says it was scored by number 25 and the assist was to number 17. Okay. If we don't have a second assist on this goal, we can go to the top and we can hit the no assist button that's there, or we can just simply click anywhere on this iPad screen and it will close that window off for us. Okay. So now we've just added a goal in the first period. 4 minutes and 30 seconds were left in that period. Goal was by number 25, assist to number 17. If we make a mistake, we can simply correct it just by clicking on it. So let's say we put in the wrong time. It shouldn't have been 4 minutes and 30 seconds. If you click on 4:30, you'll see it brings it up. We can change it. It was 5 minutes and 30 seconds that were left in the first period. Click anywhere on the screen. It closes the window. Let's say that it wasn't supposed to be number 17 that got the assist. Click on 17, and you can change it to should have been player number 91. Okay. Again, if it's an error altogether, it shouldn't have been a Woolwich goal. It should have been a Waterloo goal. We can just swipe from right to left, hit that delete button, and we can delete the goal. Okay. I'm not going to delete it. I'm going to leave it there. Okay. Since this is a 17-minute first period, and there's 5 minutes and 30 seconds left in this period, if we are doing announcements at the rink, we can use the little script button there with the little megaphone. And if you hit that little megaphone button, it's actually going to give you word for word what you can make the announcement for. And like I said, since it's a 17-minute period, the goal was actually scored at 11:30. So we can just basically read this: Woolwich goal, scored by number 25, assisted by number 91. Time of the goal, 11 minutes and 30 seconds. So it's a nice little feature for anyone that's doing announcements at the rink. Okay, you can just basically read right off of what you just clicked. Okay, and the same goes for penalties too. You can click that megaphone for penalty, read it word for word, and you can do your announcement for penalty. Okay. As we move along, the iPad is not going to be able to pick up when the period ends. So if we're moving to the second period, you'll see at the top there we have 1, 2, 3, and overtime. So let's say the first period has ended. We would want to make sure we are selecting the second period, because what you'll see is if I add another Woolwich goal, you'll see right beside there where it says period, we show 1 and 2. It now has a 2 there. Okay, so if we were still on period number 1 on the iPad, but we're actually in period number 2 of the game, it would just keep showing period number 1. So just make sure as you're moving along in the game that you're going from first period, second period, third period, and into overtime. Okay, we'll add another goal. Let's just say the 9-minute mark, and let's just say it's number 21, no assists. Okay. Same thing for penalties. If we are adding a penalty, so let's say in the second period, we're adding a penalty. And again, we're putting the time that's up on the clock. So let's say in this case, there's 6 minutes left in the second period. The durations of these penalties are 2, 5, 10. So the 2-minute ones are which we would find all of our minor penalties. The 5-minute duration is where we're going to find our major penalties and our match penalties.
Okay.
And then the 10-minute durations is where we're going to find our misconducts and our game misconducts. Okay. So let's say in this case we have the referee has indicated a minor penalty. We would click 2 as the duration. What is the infraction that the referee has called? As you can see, we have a bit of a longer list here of all of the minor penalties. We can scroll through and look for it, or we can simply hit the search button at the top and start typing in what we're looking for. And I was looking for tripping, so I found tripping, click on tripping, and it's going to be assessed to player number 3. Okay, that's how we would add it. Again, if we wanted to delete it, swipe from right to left, hit the delete button, we could delete it. We want to make the announcement, we can make the announcement as well. Okay. Okay.
This game sheet sounds like it's going to be harder than I thought it was. Oh my God.
Kurt, thank you. I do want to mention one thing. So the penalty durations in this game were the 2, 5, and 10, because that's what they are at the high school level. So for the squirts, for the peewees that have different penalty minutes, the 1.5 minutes or the 8-minute misconducts, I have set the divisions to reflect those already. So you do not have to alter them. They will come up as the times that we use in South Dakota amateur hockey.
Okay. So in this case here, we have put in the penalty. We have put in the penalty. And now the on time, you don't have to put in. It's not required, but obviously it is nice to be able to put in as scorekeepers. So let's say in this case that during this power play, Woolwich does not score a goal. Waterloo kills off the complete penalty. In this case, for a 2-minute duration, the player would return at 4 minutes. Okay. If there was a goal during that time, so let's just, let's say there was a goal, it was scored at, we'll just add a simple one in here. Let's say the goal was scored at 5:25 by player number 25. In this case, that player would return to the ice at 5:25 once that power play goal was scored. Okay.
For clarity, you have to add the time that the player returns or when the penalty is over. It doesn't
Yeah,
automatically do it.
correct. Yes, you do have to put in that time because we don't know when the player leaves that penalty box, right? So yes, we do have to specify the time that they go back onto the ice because if it's coincidentals, that player, yeah, they're going to serve their 2 minutes, but then 2 minutes and then a whistle when they're allowed to come back on. So they could end up serving more than 2 minutes, right? So we do have to specify what time the players are coming back onto the ice. Okay. We don't have to specify if it's a power play goal or a shorthanded goal. Just simply score what you're doing here in your game. In the back end on our stats widget and everything that is visible on the website, that will show goals that are scored on the power play or goals that are scored shorthanded. So you don't have to try to find anywhere, how do I mark a shorthanded goal or a power play goal? You don't have to do that. Okay. Other ones we have too is the shots on net. So if we're back in the first period, shots on net. So as you can see here, I am adding shots on the left-hand side. These are the shots that the Woolwich team is taking on the Waterloo team right now. So they've got 11 shots. Waterloo is now taking their shots on the Woolwich goalie. So that is in the first period. You'll see once we switch to the second period, we do have zeros there on the left and the right-hand side. But in the middle, we have an 11 and a 7. So that is the current shots. So as we go and we add some shots in the second period for Woolwich and Waterloo, you'll see the shots are 8-7 in that period. But in the total for the game, we have 19-14. Okay. Same thing with the third period. We can just add a couple of shots for each team. And you'll see that the shots are in the middle, in this case, 23-18. When a goal is scored, you do have to specify that there was a shot on that. It doesn't automatically put the shot in for you. So in this case, we know that Woolwich definitely had 3 shots in this game. You do have to mark a shot when a goal does go in. It doesn't automatically count as a shot. Okay. Again, this is not a required field for shots. I know that goaltenders really like it. Jenny, this is going to be something you want done though, right? So yeah, I figured that. It's not going to give you an error, but obviously goaltenders really like their shots, and then your league wants you to put your shots in anyway. So that's just how you put in your shots. If you make an error, just simply hit the minus button to take it back. Okay. If it wasn't a shot, if it missed the net and you thought it was, just take it back and make it a 1 or a 2, whatever you do. You can just hit that plus minus to fix your shots as you go along. Okay.
And you'll want to keep track of the shots as you go along because he's going to show you momentarily how to change your goaltender. And they're going to keep track by person. So when you change the goalie, you wouldn't be able to go back. So every time there's a shot, hit that plus button as you go and don't wait till the end of the period or it's going to screw up the goalie stats.
Okay. We do have another one in here, Jenny. If there's a game ejection, do we mark that somewhere? So yes, you would. So if there's a game ejection, just like how we would do on a piece of paper, we would mark this on here for a game ejection. So I can show you that. If we do have a game ejection, we are going to hit the add penalty. Okay. And let's say in this case, I just like going with nice, easy numbers. 3 minutes left in the third period. We do have that GE, which stands for game ejection. Okay. So we hit the GE, the game ejection. And these are our options for the game ejection. And it's 3 penalties in 1 game. Is that the only option you have for a game ejection, Jenny, or do we have any more?
Sorry, he was asking me a question. What was your question?
For our game ejection,
game?
is
Yes.
is this the only one we have? We don't have anything else? This is the only one? This is the only one we have. I'm asking that because this is the only one we have listed. So if I missed one, I have to go in and edit your penalty list. But is this the only one we would have?
I think
So we have
yes.
5 in game, boarding, head
right.
contact.
Those are all in the other ones. This is the only specialty one you created for us because we have the 3 penalty rule versus the 4 penalty rule.
That's right. Okay.
Yes.
So in that case, that's how you would put a game ejection. So maybe she wasn't asking for the game ejection. Maybe she was looking for how do I put in a game misconduct, maybe. Okay. So let's just, maybe that was the question instead of the game ejection one. However, I just showed you how to do a game ejection. So if there is 3 penalties in one game, we would put that in as a game ejection. But let's delete that. I can show you how to put in. I think was it? I forget who just asked it. Maybe it was Duke that just mentioned it. Maybe for how do I put in a major penalty with a game misconduct? So same thing of just how adding a penalty. So we're going to go and we're going to add penalty. We're going to put in our duration. So let's just say it happened with 3 minutes left in the third period. What's our call? It's a 5-minute major penalty. So we can look for the majors in this case, right? So we can go through, as I said before, all of our majors and our match penalties are listed here. So if we have a major penalty, let's say a major penalty for cross-checking, okay? So a major penalty for cross-checking, which player took major penalty? So in this case, let's just say it's number 21. Okay, so number 21 has gotten the major penalty. We're not done yet, though. Okay, so first of all, we know that when a major penalty happens, this player is going to be leaving this game. Okay, and someone is going to be serving this penalty for this player. So you see that we have kind of started it. We've got number 21 that's received the major penalty. However, as we move on that list, we'll see where it says SB. That means served by. Number 21 is not going to be serving this penalty. Number 21 is leaving, okay? So we would hit the 21, and we're going to put who is serving this penalty for this player. And let's just say number 91 is going to be serving the remainder of this. It's 3 minutes left in the game, but this player is going to be serving the remaining time left in this infraction. Now we want to add the penalty that comes with the major penalty. So again, we're going to basically copy this line. Was again at the 3 minute mark, and now we want to look for our misconduct. Now, excuse me for asking this question.
Could you
Though. There is,
clarify where we push on to get the duration?
yeah, for sure. Just before I do that, can you
Because
just
we
clarify
can't
me?
see it at the bottom of our screen.
You can't see the durations right now.
I can see the durations, the 2, 5, 10 image.
We can see the duration. We can't see what you clicked on to make that screen pop up.
Okay, let me just go back, and I will delete that. So delete it. So to add a penalty, we're going to hit that that plus add penalty button that's lit up there on that line where it says penalty. So we hit plus penalty. Okay, so then we want to put in the time of this infraction for this one. So I don't officiate in the USA. I officiate in Canada. With a in this case, would this be a game misconduct, or is this just a misconduct that comes with the cross check?
It's a game misconduct.
It is. Okay. Didn't know, so that's why I was asking. So anyway,
If
so we
you're
would.
giving them a 5, it has a 10.
Okay. Yeah, but a 10-minute game misconduct or a 10-minute misconduct? Game
Game
misconduct?
misconduct.
Okay. Okay. I'm still learning the USA hockey stuff. Like I said, I'm not an official in the USA. I'm one in Canada. And yeah, anyway, so for this case,
Thank you.
We would hit 10 as our duration. And now you'll see that we have listed here, like we said before, this is where our misconduct ones are listed and our game misconduct. So in this case, we do have a cross-checking major penalty. So now we want to make sure we get the cross-checking game misconduct, okay, which we see right here, cross-checking game misconduct. And then who is the player that is receiving this one? So that is, again, number 21. Number 21 is going to be serving this one, okay? Number 21 is not going to be coming back. So for the duration or when they come back on, we can just simply mark that as zeros. Since this is in the third period with only 3 minutes left in this hockey game, we can also put the on time for it as zeros because this game's actually going to be over when the player comes back onto the ice. So the 3 minutes left, they're going to be serving 5. Technically, there's still going to be 2 minutes left up on the clock, but they're coming back on because the game is over now. Okay, so that's how we would add a major penalty with a game misconduct. Okay. Are there any questions regarding adding penalties and goals and stuff or deleting anything?
So say it was 3 minutes left in the second period. How would
Mhm.
you then put the on time as whenever they're coming back on in the third period?
Yeah, good question. So I can do that. So I'll just go to the second period, okay? And I'll add a major penalty for the Waterloo team in the second period here. So if I hit the add penalty again, okay, and I'm just going to keep it simple, just with certain numbers here. Let's just say it happened with 7 minutes left in the second period. We're going to put our 5 as our duration, and let's find a different one. Let's not do cross checking. Let's do boarding. Let's do a boarding major penalty, okay? And in this case, number 4 is going to take it, okay? So now we have, because I've added another penalty that came after that one, and maybe what I'll do is I'll just delete that one just so so that's kind of not in our way to see it. So 7 minutes left. So number 4 is taking the major penalty. Again, we have to specify who is going to be serving this because in this case, number 4 is going to be leaving this game. So we specify it. Let's say number 10 is going to serve it. We are going to hit the plus new penalty again. We're going to put the same time in again. We're going to click 10 as our duration. And now we want to look for the boarding game misconduct, which we found. And number 4 is going to be serving that one. Again, number 4 is never, ever coming back into this game. So for the game misconduct, we can just simply mark zeros. Okay. And in this case now, this there, like you said, there is 7 minutes left in the second period, and we still have a whole third period. And in this case, this player is definitely not going to be coming back onto the ice until 5 minutes are being served. So really, Woolwich could get 10 goals during this time, right? So this player is going to be serving a full 5 minutes. So in this case, the player would come back out onto the ice with 2 minutes left in the second period. Okay. Did that answer your question on that one?
Well, so say there was 3 minutes left in the period, so they would actually be coming back on in the third period with 15 minutes left in the third period. How would
Sure,
you
we can do
mark
that.
Yeah, like
Yeah, so
crossing
we can
over
do that.
periods.
Yeah, sure, we can do that for you. Yeah, okay. So, yeah, for sure. That's a good one. So let's just bear with me while I change these couple of times here for us then. So if like you said, let's say, would you say 3 minutes? 3 minutes left in the second period?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, so let's just change that to 3 minutes left in the second period. Okay, let's do the same thing for the other one. 3 minutes left in the second period. And in this case, this player is going to be coming back in on the third period. So we would then specify the time that they're coming back on. And this is, what do we say? This is 17-minute periods, right? 17. So what's my math here? The player is going to be coming back on
15 minutes.
15 minutes. So then you'll see, oops, I had 15 minutes. So then you'll see that little arrow that's beside when it comes on. That means it's carried over into the next period. So this player does return to the ice at 15 minutes left in the third period.
Okay.
Okay.
Hey, Kurt, did you
Yeah.
have to switch to the third period before you set that 15?
So I did it just because I would do it just because that would be the flow of the game. But no, you wouldn't have to. You could still have been clicked on the second period and still done 15, and it would still give you the arrow over there. I
Perfect.
just did it
Thank
because
you.
that would be my flow of doing for the game. But yeah, you could still put that time in there.
Perfect.
In the
Thanks.
instances of like a 2 and a 10 or a 5 and a 10, doesn't the 10-minute misconduct or whatever begin after the first penalty has been served? After the minor has been served?
So for a misconduct penalty, yes, for sure. Yeah, misconduct.
Okay,
Game misconduct, no. Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so in the case of a 2 and a 10, then you like on the penalties that you've done here with the 5 and a 10, you list the same starting times. Would we do that then?
So for a misconduct penalty, no,
Yeah,
you
like
would do it. So yeah, so for a misconduct penalty, once the minor penalty were to end, that's when the 10-minute penalty, the misconduct penalty, would start for the next one.
And that's different in a major penalty?
Yes.
Kurt, can
So
you
if you
show
just-
them one of those, please? This
Yeah,
is
for
one of
sure.
the most missed things on our score sheet. Is
Sure.
that they think that they put the 2 to start at 10 minutes, and then they think that the 2 and the 10 is done when the clock hits 0. They don't do the 2 and then the 10 after,
Okay.
so the 10 would expire into the next one.
Sure. Okay. So I'll add one. I just delete just so not everything's getting all cluttered on the side here. I'll go ahead and delete. So I'll add a penalty. So let's just do one here. Let's do so let's just put a time on here. Let's just make it kind of a little simpler for us here. Let's just go. The penalty started at, it was 12 minutes left in the first period. There was a 2. So what's an example of a 2 for that comes with a game misconduct? So can we get a checking from behind minor? Does that come with a misconduct, or is that a game misconduct? That's a
Checking from
misconduct.
behind, so 2 and a 10. Yep.
2 and them. Okay, so perfect. So
Yep,
let's use that one.
Yep.
Okay, so we're going to use a checking from behind minor penalty. We're going to assess it to number 21. Again, someone's going to be coming in and serving the 2-minute penalty because this player is going to be serving the 10, right? So in this case, so let's just say 21. Let's say number 26 is going to be coming in and serving this. We still have to add the misconduct that comes with this. So we hit the plus add penalty again. We're going to add 12 to this. Okay, our duration for the 10 is, of course, 10. We're going to look for our misconduct. In this case, it's very conveniently at the top. So checking from behind misconduct. So we add that in there. And who is the player? In this case, it's number 21. And they are also going to be serving this. Okay, so as this goes on now, it does automatically throw the 12s in there. We can fix that depending on when this player returns, that first player that's serving that 2-minute penalty, when they return to the ice. Okay, so let's just say that in this case, in the first period, let's just say that Waterloo scores a goal at 11 minutes. Okay, and let's just say it's number 2 unassisted. So that is a power play goal. Okay, so then this player is going to be coming on at the 11-minute mark. And now the start time for this misconduct is going to start at 11 minutes. Okay, now that player is going to be serving their 10-minute misconduct starting now. Okay, so they're not going to come back onto the ice till at least they've served 10 minutes and then a whistle. So we know for sure they're not coming out with at least 1 minute left. So the odds are it's going to be 1 minute and the whistle's going to go. Probably not. Let's just say the whistle goes at 32 seconds left in the first period. This player would be returning to the ice at 32 seconds left in the first period because now they've served their 2 and their 10. Okay. That is a common, it's a tricky one, I guess you could say is maybe the better word for it. That is a tricky one. Yeah. So the big thing to remember is when their minor penalty ends is when their misconduct starts. Okay. So they still have to serve. They definitely have to serve their 10. They may not be sitting in the box the entire time for everything, but they're going to be served. They're going to be in there for at least their 10 for sure. Okay. Was that a good one, Jenny? Is that a good example for one? Is that a good one?
Yeah,
That's a common one?
Yes,
Yeah?
that's
Okay.
very common.
Okay. Any other questions for penalties and stuff? I can show you how to change the goalie out, which I know we talked about this. So the odds are the goaltender is probably going to be pulled in the third, but yeah, they can be pulled in the second whenever they want to make a goalie change. So let's just say that, we're in this hockey game where, we're Waterloo, we're losing this game 3-1 and we pull our goaltender. Okay. We want to make sure that we are making the goalie change. Okay. So in this case, where it says the plus goal, and then you see where it says change and it says goalie number 1. So currently right now, goalie number 1 is in the net for Waterloo. So if he or she comes out of the game because they want to have an extra attacker, we would hit the change button. Okay, and what change are we making? So we're doing a change goalie, and since we're selected in the third period, what is the time that's on the clock right now? So let's say there's a minute and 23 seconds left in the third period. What change have we made? Well, we just changed it to an empty net. Okay, so now you'll see it says, instead of number 1, it says empty net. So currently right now we have an empty net. So I'll show you what happens if someone were to score during that time. So let's just say that Woolwich scores in the third period, and they scored with 54 seconds left in the game. And let's say number 28 gets the goal, no assists. You'll see that it does show who the goalie's in this net, and it does say EN, which stands for empty net. So that is a big one, because then now that goaltender number 1 is not going to have that credited as him or her letting in that goal. So it does count as an empty net goal. Okay. If now that they have scored with 54 seconds left in this game, let's say Waterloo wants to put their goaltender back in the net, we would do the exact same thing we just did to make it an empty net. So we would hit change again. What are we doing? We're making a goalie change. What time is it now? So naturally, when they score the empty net with 54 seconds left, we would be putting our goaltender, because now we have a whistle. The faceoff's going to go to center ice. We would be probably putting the goaltender back in right now. So in this case, we would click 54 seconds. And what are we doing? We're putting goalie number 1. In this case, there is only one goalie. We're putting them back into the net. And then you'll see what happens if I add another goal. And let's say we score with 7 seconds left in this game, number 21, say from 17. You'll see that we do have goaltender number 1, wearing jersey number 1, is back in the net, and we just scored. So now they're responsible for that goal. So you do see we do have an empty net goal in there, and then we do have one right after that was scored with 7 seconds left. Okay. That kind of covers that. I do want to show you one cool little feature that we have in here. If you click on the little gear icon right beside where it says end game, so if we click on that little gear icon, we do have a feature in here that includes the game clock. So if we include that game clock, what this does is that anyone that is watching on the South Dakota website that's following a game live, as long as this iPad is connected to some form of data in the scorekeeper's booth, they can follow this game live on the website, and they can see everything in real time. So as we're adding goals and assists and everything in here, penalties and everything, people that are tuning in to watch the game, they would see all that in real time happening. The only thing they wouldn't be able to see is they wouldn't be able to see how much time is left in the period. Well, now they're going to be able to do that since we have this game clock feature. So in this case here, let's say we have, it's the start of the third period. First thing we're going to want to do is we're going to make sure that the clock that we're actually controlling in front of us, we're starting that clock, because that's what matters most. So if we start that clock and then we start our clock on the game sheet on the iPad, this will show live watching this game. They'll see this clock ticking down. So right now they can see, there's 16 minutes left, 16, 47, 46, 45, 44. So then if there's a whistle right now, so if the whistle were to go, we want to make sure we stop the clock, and then we stop this clock. We do give the option on this is in case you didn't stop it in time. So let's just say it wasn't 16 minutes and 37 seconds left in the third period. You stopped it a few seconds late. You could go and make your correction. Say it should have been 16 minutes and 39 seconds. You can make that correction. Now you've just reset your clock on this end. Game continues. We start the clock at the arena, and then we start this one, and it ticks down. So anyone watching this would see this clock feature going on. Okay. So it's a nice little feature. Again, it's not required. It is nice for people that are watching the games, because then they can see how much time is left in the game. And it, like I said, it all happens in real time. Everyone can watch this. So, okay. I'm just going to pause it and do that. If I just want to get rid of it, I can just get rid of the game clock. Okay. But it's a nice little feature. As you get very comfortable with getting goals and putting in penalties and stuff, this might be a cool little feature. Maybe you might want to start doing, especially if you find yourself maybe watching some of these games and you think, oh man, it'd be cool if that clock feature was working. I'm going to start doing that. So I find it, where I live, when we trained our scorekeepers, we made sure that they were very, very comfortable, first of all, with the clock, second, with the iPad, with getting goals and assists. And then we kind of moved on to a little more of an advanced feature, and that included the game clock on the iPad. So, okay. Okay, are there any Any questions with this one? If there is none, then I'm going to show basically just how the game can end, how it can be ended by a referee, and we could generate where we generated that error. So if there's no questions, oh, we got a hand up. Perfect. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I typed it in the chat, but what if
Oh,
you
okay,
have
sorry.
a situation where the goalie gets injured or whatever, but there's not another goalie on the roster? I noticed when you changed goalie, it only showed the goalies on the roster.
Yeah, so that would be a very rare case that would happen. But yes, you would have to go back into the roster. So in this case, you would. So let's just say we would have to go back in. Let's say it was the Woolwich team. This would be a very rare occasion. Most times, I'm going to think you would probably have a second goaltender on your bench, so you could put the other goaltender in. But in a rare occasion, if you only had one, yes, you would have to go in and specify one of these players as your goaltender. Okay, so let's just say you got the time to get someone else dressed to do it. You would have to go and change their position to a goaltender. And then when you went back into the scoring app, and then if we went to do a goalie change, and let's just say we make that goalie change, let's just say 32. I know it's just an example. Or I had the wrong team. Sorry. Hang on a second. I added it to the other team. We can change our goaltender. And if you wanted to change it, let's just say we changed it 5 minutes and 44 seconds. We do have the option of putting in another goaltender. Okay. In this case, we gave the player that was wearing jersey number 18 the opportunity to get dressed. So now they could be put into the net. Okay. That would be a rare occasion, but yes, good question. Yeah, good question.
Ted, did you have a specific question on major and minor penalties?
Just the order and how they're served. You might want to highlight that.
Okay. So yeah, somebody asked a question about a 2 and a 10. So the minor penalty comes before the major penalty. Your 2 has to either expire by time on the clock or be negated by a goal being scored before the 10 minutes will start. Any questions with that?
But a major and a minor, the major gets served first.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the 5 minutes.
Yep.
Is what you're talking about?
Yep, correct. Yep.
I don't like to use the term, but this iPad essentially it's replacing your piece of paper. So just the same way that you would write it on a piece of paper. So we were putting, in this, we talked about doing a 2 and a 10. Like you just said, if we're doing a 5 and then a 2, we're writing it just the way it's supposed to be written. We're just putting it on an iPad.
He serves a 5 and somebody else is in there for a 2.
Okay. Sorry, I was not getting the right question.
Oh, okay.
Ted, are you good?
Yeah, no, I'm good. I just thought it'd be good to be a reminder to everyone else as well.
Oh,
so
I see. Okay. Yeah, good reminder. Yeah, for sure. Good reminder. Yep.
When you alter the roster in the middle of the game with the goalies, does it create a scenario that the coaches need to sign again? No, because the coaches have already signed the game sheet saying, hey, these players here are the ones that are true and present at the time of the game along with the coaches. So the player's still going to be there. It's not like they're bringing in somebody from outside to do it. It would be somebody that already is on that game roster. You wouldn't be able to play and bring in an unrostered player.
Yeah, and if you were to make any type of a roster change in there after the coach had signed, it's going to alert you and tell you that if you make this change, the coach is going to have to sign again. So in this case, like Jenny just said, this player was already involved. They're just going to be put in the net now. The coach doesn't have to sign for that. The player is already there. If we did realize, halfway through that, hey, this number 18 is not there, we would have to mark them as not playing, and the coach would have to sign that to say, yeah, that's right. We messed up. We missed that player. Shouldn't have been here. We'll mark them as not playing. Coach has to sign again.
Somebody asked about What is the path if the internet Wi-Fi disconnects during the game and cannot connect pre-game? Kurt?
So what is the path if the internet Wi-Fi disconnects during the game or we cannot connect pre-game? So we do need the internet at the start of the game, whether it be, Wi-Fi or hotspot of your phone. We do need it for, roughly 5 to 7 seconds to get this game loaded onto our iPad from the schedule. From there, this game could be done completely offline. So it can be in the scorekeeper's booth. It could be on airplane mode, really. And the whole game could be scored. And then you do need some form of data at the end to get it uploaded. So really, in theory, you could get away with just at the start and at the end. So roughly, anywhere between, 10 to 20 seconds, you need data for. Everything else can be done right offline.
And with that being said, we hope that the internet issues are very hit and miss. So we do want you all to live score this whenever possible. So if you have internet, we want you to make sure that you're connected to that internet so that people can see these games as they go. And as Kurt said a few minutes ago, once you have people that have used this a couple of times and get comfortable with it, that game score clock feature is pretty awesome. And when people can go on our website and see that, that's going to be, a nice bonus. So we do encourage you to encourage your scorekeepers to use that as well once they're comfortable with the system.
Okay. I see there is a question in here too about the Android soccer app. So no, it cannot be used to score this game. That is only for soccer. So no, it cannot be used in a pinch. If you're having issues with, say, your iPad, died at the game, or you dropped it in the parking lot and now it's broken, you would have to resort back to using a piece of paper to score that game, and then we could help Jenny get this game rescored on the iPad afterwards. But yeah, no, in a pinch, the soccer scoring app will not work. Okay. Hockey can only be scored on the iPad.
Is there a plan to make it available on a desktop or a laptop?
There are plans to use other ones. Yes, I know, a phone or a laptop. There are plans to do it. Currently, just only available on the iPad for hockey, though. But it is being looked at. Yeah. Okay. Will scorekeepers be issued an iPad? I'll let you take that one, Jenny.
Each association has iPads to be used in their rinks during games. I think most people, if they had one sheet of ice, had at least 2 iPads because there'll be a game being played and a group of people coming in for a secondary game. And I know the rinks that had multiple sheets of ice had more than that. So they do have iPads there for you to use. And most of them, I don't believe, are per team. I believe it's just per the rink, but you'd have to check in your local association and ask the leadership there what your policy is. But I'm guessing most of them are per association and not per team.
Okay. If there's no more questions about the actual scoring page of this, I'm just going to show us how to end a game. So once the game is over, we can hit the end game button now, or we can, give it to the on ice officials and they can end the game. It doesn't matter who does it, but if we do have to hit the end game button, and it does pull the time that is on our iPad for the end time. So right now it's choosing the time that's where I'm at. So it is 9:30 on my iPad. So yeah, we're going to say that's when the game did end for us. And now you see it brings us to the officials post game page. Okay. And we can see in the top here, we do have an error. And then next to that error, we do have the lock and upload. So we cannot lock and upload this game right now because we do have an error. Okay. And if we click on the error, I know you can't see my finger, but if you click on the error, it's going to tell you what the error is. Okay. So like I said before, errors do restrict us from locking and uploading a game. So in this case, it's telling us the game has no referee. Okay. So if we click on the game has no referee, it brings us right to the line where it needs to happen. So if we hit plus add referee, if we start clicking in a referee's name, if they are currently in the system, when they do a search, they would be able to find themselves in here and they can select themselves to add to the game. Okay. Jenny, have you added any referees yet or no?
I will add all of our completed referees tomorrow. I'm waiting
Okay.
for hopefully a new downloads tomorrow, but I will add them. So the majority of them should be in there for the first time use to kind of help them a little bit so that they don't have to do that.
Okay, so for this one here, as we're typing in, no one exists as I start typing this in. No one exists. So I would have to create myself to get this one. So I would hit create new referee, and I would have to put a first name, and I'm just going to put my last name. Okay. And then my referee number is, in this case, would be my USA hockey referee number. So I'm not a USA hockey referee. So I'm just going to quickly make up a number and I'm just going to call it 23456 is my referee number. If I want to get a copy of this score sheet as a referee, I would leave my email and then make sure that I enable that button. So if I put in my email, so let's just say my email is kurt@gmail.com. Hit enter, and you'll see that the little toggle button does come on. I want to get a copy of this score sheet. Okay. What was I in this game? Was I the head referee, just the referee, maybe in a four-man system, or was I lines person? I was just one of the referees for this game. So I've gone and I've added my name. Now you can see that the referee has added their name. We still have an error there though. What's our error? So if we click on the error, we'll see that the error is the referee hasn't signed. Okay, but before I want to sign here, as the referee, I do have a little bit of work I need to do here because I have called some penalties that just aren't minor penalties here. I've got a major penalty here. So I'm going to want, as an on ice official, I'm going to want to leave some notes here, maybe of what had happened on these plays. So you can see once I added myself to this game, now all where it says add new note beside where the penalty infractions are, this is not something that the scorekeepers are going to be doing. This is something that the referees would be doing. They can then add a note to this, to their penalties that are calling. So let's just say, for an example, I want to leave a note for that boarding game misconduct. I can leave a note, and very, very similar to what we saw for leaving general notes, we could leave a note as a referee. Who is the note being left by? In this case, there is only one referee. I could leave an audio note, or I could leave a text note. Okay. In this case, I'm just going to say I want to leave an audio note. I would quickly just, give a rundown of what happened on this boarding game misconduct, why it was issued, what had happened on the play, the two players that were involved. After I leave the note, I would hit stop, and then I would add my note. And now you can see it says view note beside where it says boarding game misconduct. So to view it, I could just hit the view note and I could play it back to myself to verify that I like it. Yep, everything is good, or maybe I messed it up. I can clear it and redo the note again. But in this case, I'm good with my note. I wanted to do maybe the same thing for the checking from behind misconduct. Again, Kurt is the referee. Kurt is just going to go and leave an audio note again just by hitting the play button, leave a quick note of what had happened, stop it, and then add. And now in this case, the referee has left 2 audio notes for penalties that were assessed. So now that the referee has done that, you can click on that error button again. Again, the error is the referee hasn't signed. As soon as the referee has signed, now you'll see that lock and upload button has now lit up, and now that can be pressed to lock and upload this game. Okay. Jenny, do you want me to actually lock and upload this game? Because this will go. Obviously we can delete it from your season because I'm going to have to delete the 2 teams that I created for this and to delete the players that I made up. Do you want me to upload this, or you don't? I probably don't need to, right?
I don't think so.
No. So just a quick thing to do, just to let everyone know that when you do hit that lock and upload button, it's going to lock and it's going to try to upload. Okay. If it uploads, it's going to give you a nice little message on there saying that the game has successfully uploaded. Okay. If it doesn't, because let's just say we didn't have any Wi-Fi or a hotspot of a phone, maybe while we're in the referee room, excuse me, it would fail, and it will tell you the game has not been successfully uploaded. Hit the button again and let it try again. Okay. And it will eventually, once it has connection, it will go and it will eventually, when it does upload, it will give you the message saying game has been successfully uploaded. So we want to make sure that when we're uploading that we do see that message that says game has been successfully uploaded, because that means it has gone from the iPad, has gone back into the South Dakota the cloud. So then the game is there. So then Jenny or whoever can go and view. In this case, they're going to want to see this one because there was a major penalty called. So they're going to want to see this game for sure. Okay. So make sure that these games do get uploaded. Okay. So if it fails the first time, hit the button again, and eventually, when you have a connection, it will upload.
One thing before you lock and upload it, and especially like at the high school games, like the JV varsity games, it is nice to maybe touch base with the coaches during the resurface, or at least right at the end of the game, just to make sure that they don't have anything that they need to have changed. Maybe you put in number 5 scored the goal, and they heard over the loudspeaker that you recorded that number 3 served the goal. We want to try to catch them if you can, to give them an opportunity to be able to make a correction prior to the official signing off on it and it being locked and uploaded. So if somebody wants to make a change, you want to do that before the official signatures. And that would be coming from the head coach at the game to make that change.
Okay. We do have a couple more in there. Frozen 10. I'll let you answer that one, Jenny. That's a Frozen 10. How it works, what it means. Yeah.
Yep, I can answer that. I'll stay on to answer that after that. It doesn't really have anything to necessarily like what it means. I'll stay on to answer that when we get done. Travis, if you want. But if you could go over where they record the suspensions when they're checking in the players, that was one of the other questions.
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, I didn't cover that one. I just marked as if we weren't playing or if we were injured. So if we go back to that visitor lineup, and we do have one of our players in here that is suspended. So instead of marking them as playing, we would click on their status. And in this case, now this is where it gives us that message that a player cannot be able, because it does have game events. So that's a bad example of one, because normally we wouldn't do that as this is going on. So let's find another player. That player, well, all these players have events. There we go. So this player didn't have anything that would happen in this game. So it does tell you that editing this will remove the head coach's signature. So there's a great example of, we're going to change this player. So we want to do the edit because it's going to remove their signature. And the coach is going to sign at the end of it. So instead of playing, let's say this player was suspended. Again, this would happen before the game, but they would mark the player as suspended. And then they're going to also specify the length of the suspension. So let's say that they were notified that this player, player number, Waterloo player 15, is actually got a 3-game suspension. And this is their first game that they're serving. So one of how many games? One of 3, and then hit the save button. So now we've indicated that this player is serving one of 3-game suspension. And you'll see that we have generated an error. And what is the error? Well, the error is the visiting coach hasn't signed because we removed their signature when we did the edit. So now we would just simply sign it. The error is gone. And then we have now added the suspension to that player. Okay.
Obviously, with the game sheets, I will get a copy of all of these score sheets. So our current policy is that we need to make sure that suspensions are noted and those score sheets are sent to me. So obviously these game sheets will come to me and I'll be able to record those suspensions being served. But remember, when your teams are going to an outside tournament, and if they're still using, or if they're using game sheets or a paper score sheet outside of South Dakota Amateur Hockey, I will not get those. So you still would need to have the paper copies of those sent to me to be able to record those suspensions that were not coming into us through GameSheets for the league. So outside league game paper sheets are the only ones that need to come to me unless you're hosting a tournament that's using paper score sheets in your local and somebody gets a game misconduct or a major penalty, or they're serving one. So only paper ones that have to be mailed to me are ones with suspensions assessed or served.
And then the same thing, I know Kelly just asked the same question about for a coach suspension. Same thing, Kelly. So instead of having the player as coaching, again, it's in this case, we've already signed for the head coach. It's just going to remove their signature. So then we would just go in, we would mark suspended, or if they were away, just mark them as away. Same thing we're doing with a player. So let's say in this case, this coach is sitting game, let's just say 1 of 1. Okay. We would mark that coach as suspended, head coach signs. Okay, so same thing.